Well, thank you so much for coming out today. My name's Jeff. I'm the executive director here. And, sometimes when we do programs like this, they come together in very short order. We turn things around in a month or two. But with the pandemic and everything else that we've been going through, as a world, but also here in our museum community and so on, it's taken us a while to put things together. And this is a program that we had planned. I'm going to guess that's Jerome's phone. Taken a long time to put this together. First, talked to the young woman on the end, Miss Princess Hearn, when she came to visit in 2018, and she signed our poster out front. And it was an incredible honor to meet her as the voice of the band that we're going to talk about tonight, the 24 Karat Black. And then over time, got to meet Mr. Zach Schonfeld, who's the author of the great 33 and the Third book about the record that we're here to learn about tonight, Ghetto, Misfortune as well. And Ms. Niambi Steele, who's sitting next to Ms. Hearn, who we've also met, and then Mr. Jerome Derrickson, who comes to Memphis quite a bit because he works with bands like the Barcades and just booked his artist Frankie Beverly and Mays down in South Haven last month. So he's here a lot. So all these things take time to put together, but this has been a true, I would say, labor of love for us here at the museum to finally say that the 24 Karat Black is at Stax Records. Yeah. Way back in 1973, and some of the other great stories tonight. Our good friend, Mr. Jared Boyd, is going to be talking to us and asking some questions and things after that. But one of the things that's really important for us here is to bring to light and tell stories outside of the norm here at Stax Records. We love Otis Redding, we love Isaac Hayes, we love Mavis Staples, we love Booker T and the MGs, and we'll talk about them, and we'll continue to talk about them. But sometimes there's just a story that's too good not to tell. And any time that we can bring credit to, bring recognition to an incredible record like Ghetto, Misfortune as well, that, as we showed them earlier, did not receive the type of promotion or the type of attention that it deserved when it came out in May of 1973. Yes, Stax was a company in tumult at that time, and things were not the greatest, even though it was still, in theory, should have been riding high after the Wattstax Festival in 1972, but storm clouds were certainly on the horizon for the company. And so promotion was limited at certain times, distribution was difficult at certain times, but occasionally great music tends to slip through. And we could go out in the Hall of Records, and we could look at all the 45s, and we could look at some of the LPs, and you'll see one-hit wonders, you'll see no-hit wonders, you'll see records like Dino and the California Choir, that you kind of wonder, why is that here? Or Heavy Guns, or the Effete Corps of Impudent Snobs. I could go on and on and on. But these are the types of things that record companies do. They put out music, they try to break things, but occasionally they miss. And sometimes they make a record that is so ahead of its time, and so out there, and frankly, so brilliant, that sometimes a company doesn't even know what to do with it. And in some ways, that's what happened with this incredible record that Mr. Dale Warren and then these people before you put together. It's a remarkable record. We were playing some of it before. You can always stream it online. You should buy as many copies as you can if you can find it. We couldn't even find any copies to sell in the store tonight, so reissues are hard to come by. But the other important part of the story is that they've sold as many records, but how many of you on the panel today have received royalties from these records?
None of us.
As the voice of 24 Karat Black, Miss Princess Hearn, Jerome Derrickson on the horns, and so many others, been sampled thousands of times over by producers. It is a hip-hop producer's or a producer's dream, this record, when you deconstruct it. So, without further ado, I gotta mention one more thing. Gotta talk about two more things we're doing. Tomorrow night, Wattstax for free, Orange Mountain Tower. It's gonna be a beautiful night. Bring a blanket, bring a folding chair. There'll be food trucks. Jared Boyd, he's Jared Boyd tonight, but he'll be DJ Bizzle Blue Bland tomorrow night. But he'll be DJing starting at 6 o'clock. The movie's gonna start around 7, totally free, in partnership with Tone, Indie Memphis, and supported by Memphis Record Pressing, and it's gonna be an amazing night. And then next week, on the 12th, we'll be here again with Dr. Emily Lordy from Vanderbilt University incredible book called Reclaimed Soul, all about the importance of soul music and looking at sort of different artists and different angles. She's here as part of the 2 or 3 day thing with the University of Memphis at 7 o'clock in here. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention Ms. LaDonna Austin. Ms. LaDonna is husband Larry with the bass player for 24 Karat Black, and then hopefully she'll come up and tell a few stories at some point too. So I've talked too much. I'm going to turn it over to Jared. Thank you all so much for coming on. It means so much for y'all. You guys.
Yeah, in case y'all take some pictures and everybody's gonna say, where are you?
That's right.
And then you'll go, bam.
Thank you, Jeff, and thank you, Pat. Thank you to all of y'all for being here on this occasion. Jeff is not lying. We've been waiting with bated breath all through the pandemic, pretty much, for this night to happen. And for one, I mean, it's always great to be in this room. I'm privileged to have been to so many programs in this room. But I think that the people here on my right, I'll say welcome home to you as well. But welcome to Studio A. And I'd like to go down the line and just sort of vibe check, see how everybody's feeling. Any initial reactions? I was here with Pusha T Jones a couple weeks back, and he had so many memories of just being in this space because it is it sort of replicates so much of his young adulthood. But I think that y'all might have just some different stories to tell when you think of coming to Memphis and think of reckoning with Stax in this moment in your life. And I think everyone here would love to just hear where you're based now, what you're up to, and before we even get into the 24 Karat Black story. And that's for Zach too. Zach, you, the author of this incredible 33 and the third book, which was a fantastic read when I was stuck in the house a couple of years ago, unable to interact with anyone. I'd love to hear, Zach, what your thoughts are for this moment.
Test. Well, it's amazing. It's amazing to be here because this is my first time at the Stax Museum. I never came to the Stax Museum while I was working on the book. I considered coming, and I spoke to Jeff, and I interviewed Jeff for the book. And I remember at one point I asked him, should I come to the Stax Museum? Do you have any artifacts or photos of 24 Karat Black? Do you have anything relating to this record? And he said, to be honest with you, no. We don't have much about this band, but we need to correct that. We need to, this record needs to get more attention. More people need to know about 24 Karat Black. And so it's amazing to be, when I wrote the book, I didn't know who would read the book. I didn't know if anyone would care about 24 Karat Black because they're still so under-recognized, and they've still been so, they've still received so little of the recognition that they deserve for their music and their influence. So it's very meaningful to have you all here, and I know it's meaningful for you as well, but it's very special.
Thank you. And before I make some comments, I'm going to pass the mic and let Princess talk first.
Well, we first give an honor to God, who is the head of my life. Amen. But Brother Jerome here, see, he was the manager of the group, and he managed 21 young, enthusiastic road manager. And sax player, yes. And he's also a member of the Zap Band. The Zap Band.
I thought he didn't want to talk.
So he's going to pass the mic to me. But this is very personal to me. When I recorded this album, it was in 1973. I was 17 years old, an ambitious musician, and I met Del Warren. I was 17, he was 27, and he came to Cincinnati. I was singing with the group, a local band in Cincinnati, and I was at a talent show in Cincinnati in high school, and the D'Italians band was the band that was going to play for us at this high school talent show. And I was singing Aretha Franklin, Respect. What you want, baby, I got it. What you need, you know I got it. All I'm asking is for a little respect when you come on.
Oh my God.
And we were singing in a talent show, and at that time they were our band that was going to back us up, and we had a good time, and it went over real well. And my sister and 3 other girls, we formed the group, and the group at that time they just wanted me, and so they put up a revolt. My sisters and the other girls said that you can't take her unless you take us. So we became the Dialettes. So we became the Dialettes. But we met Del Warren, from Motown Records, and he had just did the score for the Isaac Hayes Hot Buttered Soul album. And he took a liking to this group, the 24 Karat Black, and there were 21 of us, and we were young, ambitious musicians. And Del, he honed our gifts, and he trained us, vocal trained us, and he had this concept album, Ghetto's Misfortune's Well. And it was in regards to the concept of living in the ghetto life, an urban life, and poor life. A poor life, yeah. But now in 2022, to know that this music has stood the test of time, and Del said that this music will be around for generations and generations. I was 17 when I made this album. I'm 68 now. I have 17 grandbabies. Yes, and my grandson, he was skateboarding to Poverty's Paradise. And it came to mind. Dale said that this music would stand the test of time, that it would be around for generations and generations. And my grandson is about to make a skateboarding movie with his grandparents' music that has stood the test of time. And it's personal to me. It's personal to me. I retired in 2019. After I came off of the road, because you have to have a alpha player in the house, okay? Have to have an alpha player in the house. But down through the years, I got a job. I made an honest living, and I retired in 2019. And I asked the Lord personally, after I retired, if I could pursue my music. And 2 weeks after I retired, I got a call from Zach Schonfeld wanting to write a music in regards to the 24 Karat Black. So it's very personal to me to be here at this time of my life, and knowing that Jay-Z and Kanye West, his artists, Pusha T, Kendrick Lamar, and all of these artists are sampling this music, and we're still broke. So, maybe we can do some reparations or something while we're down here. But I count it a privilege and an honor. And I thank Jeff, and I thank Zach, and I thank the Stax Museum. And like I said, it's personal to me, and God made a promise to me, and it's coming to light. And I'm at awe to be in Memphis, Tennessee in 2022, an evening with the 24 Karat Black. And we're one of the few who made it, but there are many who didn't make it. And I thank God for Sister LaDonna, who's here, and she's the wife of Larry Austin. He was the bass player for the 24 Karat Black, and he's deceased now. And I thank God after 49 years that she and Niambi, she came on board after we had the second edition of the 24 Karat Black. after Stax Records went bankrupt and left us out on the road. We had to call Auntie, and everybody to get us off the road. And that's what happened to that episode of the 24 Karat Black. But we're so grateful right now that we're able to glean in this and just to be able to witness it is awesome. And I thank you all for coming, and I thank all of our fans, and I thank the niche that we have in the Stax Museum. And I'm a licensed minister, and I'm very active in my church, the Revelation Baptist Church in Cincinnati, Ohio. Reverend Kendall Washington is my pastor, and we're just grateful to be alive today. We're grateful to be seen and not viewed. Amen. Because in 2019, I battled pancreatic cancer for 7 months, and I'm a survivor. Hallelujah, I'm a survivor. I'm a survivor of pancreatic cancer. The devil thought he had me, but I got away. So, I'm like Stella, I'm about to get my groove back. Yes. And I just recorded another song, Blessings Bestowed on Us. His name was Toby Braswell from Evergreen Podcast. They've got episodes running out of Cleveland, Ohio. Some disc jockeys that called out of the blue, and he wrote this song, and it's called Blessings Bestowed on Us. All I see is blessings bestowed on us. Thank you very much.
We have the pastor on that, so let's play now. So if I knew you were a minister before we
I can give you
started.
a concert right now. I got my MP3 players. I got about 4 songs. Yes, Lord.
Miss Cassandra Niambi Steele.
Wow. Hello? Is anybody there? Hello? Turn me up. DJ, give me the beat. Give me the beat, DJ. Okay, there I am. I want to tell everybody that I'm totally amazed that I'm here. I didn't even realize that I had any potential at all, but I did have nerve. I would do anything once. Well, and then I did it, and then it's over, so that's what I did. I happened to be in Indianapolis, Indiana, and I was in theater. It was a black theater movement of the late 60s, early 70s. And I was an actress. I had started studying Sonia Sanchez, Nick Giovanni, Leroy Jones, who turned into Amiri Baraka, Sweet Bag, Badass Song, all of that. That was part of me, and I was kind of like a black hippie. And then I was part of a committee that was bringing Shirley Chisholm to town, and it was going to be a huge event in a convention center with dinner, and people were going to be serving us, and Shirley Chisholm was going to be there, and Nikki Giovanni was going to be there, and I was asked if I could do anything to help this situation, and I was like, okay, I can write. I'll write the introduction to the speaker for Nikki Giovanni. Well, of course, then that meant I got a backstage pass. And I was always backstage. So at any rate, the event took place. 24 Karat Black was the musical guest of the evening. And I was like, well, I got my backstage pass. I'm gonna go back and talk to everybody. So that's what I did, and I happened to meet Mr. Dale Warren, and he was kind of like a little leprechaun. This man never stayed still. He was always like moving. And in between his moving, he did find out that I was an actress and a vocalist, which I really wasn't, but I said it. And so come to find out, I didn't know any of the previous members of the 24 Karat Black. I'm not in that story. But as it turned out, they had come to a crisis because people in the band, some wanted to go one way and some wanted to go another way. And then there was the other way, and nobody wanted to talk about it. But then they started asking for new members, and I came in as the scab on the picket line. All the other ones weren't there, but I was. And it just happened that after that concert event with Shirley Chisholm and Nikki Giovanni, I was asked to come to Chicago and to audition. And I was like, oh shit. They really think I can do something. Oh Lord. But I went, I told you I'd do anything once. So I went. I had to sell my food stamps to get the bus to Chicago. And so once I got there, there was this like 80-story building, probably not that tall, but to me it was like, wow, it's the big city. And it was like 50 Lakeshore Drive. And I was like, oh my God, what have I gotten myself into? They're gonna kill me when they find out I can't sing. But I went up there anyway. I told y'all I'd do anything once. I went up there and I pulled myself together and I tried to sing and it wouldn't come out, but I did something. I don't even remember what I did. But somehow or another, Dale Warren, he saw something in me. And it was something that I didn't even know I could do. And he took me into the group, and she scared me. She was a bully with her voice. Y'all heard her. She scares everybody. So I came in there and looked at her and said, oh God. But I kept on. And even though I'm not on this particular recording, I promoted it and it became part of my soul. Because I knew I was a single mother. I sold my food stamps to get there. They had a record called Food Stamps. They had another one about Mother's Day and how your check comes. I knew that life. I lived in the projects in Indianapolis. In fact, I had just gotten my assignment to a project apartment, and I left because 24 Karat Black chose me. And I didn't know why, but I felt like maybe I can do it. Maybe I can come back, and when I come back, my two little kids, I'll be a star or something. And I was gone 2 years, and I came back broke. I had nothing. I came back in 1975 from touring 2 years, singing behind Princess and listening to this man play saxophone, and he was the business manager. That's why we call him Cabbage. Because y'all know, without Cabbage, you ain't got nothing to eat. He was the money man. Well, he was supposed to be getting the supposed to be money, but the supposed to be money never showed up. We were still out there 2 years, at least I was. And in 1975, I had to go home. My son was turning 4 years old. It was July of 1975, and I left the band. But the band didn't leave me. Everything I learned from Dale Warren, I take his guidance as the reason I am who I am today. Today, I am a New York actress with an award. All that acting on the road, trying to get some money. I finally got some recognition, and I've been in New York since the 80s. After 24 Karat Black, I recorded with Jack McDuff. He was the only jazz artist on Sugar Hill Records. And so I was there to see another dream happen. Because what's funny is, Dale Warren was trying to mold me into a Sylvia Robinson type. And Sylvia was the owner of Sugar Hill. And there I was, like, I didn't even know where 24 Karat Black was, because after I left, I just like, I don't know where they are. And I got to see Sylvia Robinson develop all of this talent, and there I was supposed to be her, because Mr. Warren said, you're gonna have an act in Las Vegas. You're going to be famous. Just trust me. And I did. I told you I'd do anything once. And I trusted him, and I believed that I would be a star. But it's not until today, it's 50 years later. Now, she was 17. I was 25. I was older than all of them. I am 74 years old. I'm still doing theater. Princess and I, we recorded different songs just this summer. I'm still believing in the dream of 24 Karat Black, and this is a dream right here. Thank y'all. Thank you.
Niambi, you once told me that after you left 24 Karat Black, you kept your bags packed for 2 years because you kept thinking that you were going to get the call to go back on the road for another tour.
That's true.
But it took 47 years, and here you are.
It only took 47 years. Because that 4-year-old boy is now 51. And he has 2 daughters. And I have another son that's older, he's 54. He has 3 children. I have 6, maybe 7 grandchildren. I might have 7, maybe 8 great-grandchildren. Depends on who you're talking to. But I love them all. And I'm still here to be a role model and to say to anyone, if you believe in something, it's better than falling for nothing. And even though people said you fell for it, but it wasn't nothing, it was something. The music is still alive. And Mr. Dale Warren told us, he said so many times, your grandchildren's children are gonna be listening to this music. And we were like wait. We don't even understand. We ain't got that far yet. But he was like, no, you wait, this is it. And I believed in it because I had lived it. I knew this music in my soul. And I did finally learn to sing. And y'all gonna hear it, somewhere down the line.
So, you all spent many years on the road touring around the country in a U-Haul with 24 Karat Black. And during that time, the band developed an incredibly theatrical and ambitious stage show that I think was kind of unlike anything else that was associated with Stax Records at the time. Can you talk a little bit about what 24 Karat Black's performances were like? What made it so unusual and unique?
Check, check. Hello?
Yep.
Okay, you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, I need a little more volume, I'm sorry. But anyway, Dale believed in, he wanted an R&B orchestra. He didn't want, when he met us, we were a party band, basically. You know, the three girls, the horn section, actually a carbon copy of James Brown. If you guys know James Brown, we had the big horn section, we had the girls, and we had a guy that thought he was James Brown. Right, so that was our band. But Dale came in, and Dale believed he wanted a R&B orchestra. He took all of that excitement away from us. He made the girls be out front. He made the band, we all sat down. It was no more standing up, dancing, and playing horns and guitars. He made the whole band sit down like an orchestra. And that's what we did. We complained about it. We didn't like it, but he wanted a orchestra, a soul R&B orchestra. And that's what he molded into us. He taught us a lot. The stories that you've read in the book and that you've heard are true. We traveled in the back of a U-Haul with the equipment because we didn't have any money. We played a lot of little nightclubs, little dives around the country. Well, we didn't go that far. I mean, we went through the South, Chitlin Circuit, the real Chitlin. I mean, they didn't even have chitlins. Yeah, so
They had mountain
yes, they
oysters.
have mountain oysters. I know from the South, I know mountain oysters. Yeah. So we did that. But first of all, let me say this. Thank you guys for coming, and thank you for the support of the group. And at that time, you know, thank you so much. But we learned a lot from Dale. You know, he came in and he just changed our whole plan of being a band. You know, he made us play. We all played better. We learned to play better. But it was, like you said, it was a chitlin circuit. It was really hard. I mean, but we were young. We didn't know. And now I'm sure some of you have questions that how come we didn't get paid for like the musicians that are sampling our music now. Back then, our management, and let's clean this up, I was the road manager. All right, so back then, our managers, they didn't know nothing about royalties and records and different stuff like that. Dale came in and brought that to the forefront, but back then, nobody was being paid royalties. Well, people were being paid royalties, but we were not set up that way. So as the years passed and all these newer artists started sampling our music, we didn't get paid even to today. We still don't get anything. We hear, like she said, you can hear our music with Kendrick Lamar, with Jay-Z and everything, but nothing was set up in the past where we could get paid now. And even if we went after it now, we still wouldn't. We would spend a lot of money chasing it right now, trying to get royalties or money for these samples and different things. And so the effort to do that is not there at this time. And we're just blessed and thankful that what's going on now and the resurgence of the music is happening. So we're very blessed and thankful for that, you know. And that's pretty much it. But since they gave you a little background, I'll give you a little background on me. All right, so after 24 Karat Black, we all kind of disbanded. Half of the group went to Detroit and became a group called Shotgun on ABC Records. The rhythm section, Larry was involved. And the other half of the group, we stayed in Cincinnati and continued being 24 Karat Black until it just dissolved. After that time, I kind of went out on my own, went solo. I started a group called The Look, and we toured overseas, Singapore, Hong Kong, Japan. We were there for about 3 years. And after that, came back to the States, and that band didn't do too much, but with the people that I know in the industry in Cincinnati and so on and so on, I became a member of the group Zapp and Roger, one of the original members. And I have 3 gold albums and 2 platinums. So after that, I kind of got, well, after the Zapp situation, you know, Roger's brother killed Roger and then killed himself. Okay, so the band, we all disbanded. And then 2 of the brothers, about 3 or 4 years after Zapp, after the death of the brothers, 2 of the brothers put the group back together, and they brought in all of the originals that were left. We all, at that time, had gone different ways and were doing different things. So the 2 brothers brought in just some more members from the Ohio area, and they're out there now. And fortunately and thankfully, at that before that happened, right after the death, I had started a talent agency out of Atlanta, Georgia. And I started booking the group Zap from that point, and I've been Frankie Beverly's exclusive booking agent for 21 years now. And so, and so, along with that, I do have agency ties with my agency, with all the major agencies around the country. I handle the Isleys, Cameo, Lakeside, Zap, Midnight Star, the Barcades. I represent them across the country on different concerts. I launched another band in the past 4 years called The City, which you will be hearing from them very, very shortly. They're a super group and they're doing very well.
Zach and I are sharing duties tonight. I know you probably have so many questions you want to ask. I'm gonna volunteer to my man.
This works better. So you all have some pretty remarkable and, in some cases, harrowing stories from the road, from your years of touring with 24 Karat Black. Let's go down the line. What's your craziest story from 24 Karat Black, or what's the wildest thing that happened when you guys were on the road?
Okay, well. Who's the sound man? Yeah, hello? Is it batteries? Okay.
Testing 1, 2.
Batteries.
Testing 1, 2, 2, 2, 2.
Okay, I'll start. Couple of the stories that are really wild that people would not believe, even I'm sure some of you folks wouldn't believe. We had come back to Cincinnati after being on the road, and we were staying at a hotel out in northern Cincinnati, just north of downtown Cincinnati. The band was hungry, so it was my task to feed the band. So I went and I think I bought like 67 or 87 White Castles. I brought it back and fed them. Y'all know what White Castles are, what White, yeah. So, right, so I fed the band that night. All right, that's one story. Another story, we were in Georgetown, Kentucky. You knew I was gonna tell that one. Okay, we were in Georgetown, Kentucky, and we played a nightclub called Up Jump the Devil. That was the name of the club. And so the club owner took a liking to us. So we ended up staying there for, 6, 7 weeks or so, and would just play on Fridays and Saturdays. And the money was real short at that time. I mean, extremely, terrible. We had 15, 16, 17 people on the road? 21. Okay, 21. And so we were staying in this hotel in Georgetown, and one afternoon, the sheriff knocked on the door. And he said, well, the bill hadn't been paid, and they had called the police, okay? And so they took the whole band to jail. So we all went to, except me, because I wasn't there.
That's how Stax Records went bankrupt.
That's when they went bankrupt, right? So they carted off the whole group to jail. I was out at the time, and I think Dale was out at the time. Me and Dale, and I think Manchurian, did he go to jail?
Yeah, you guys went to jail because me and the girls.
I didn't go.
He didn't go.
I didn't go. No, I didn't go.
He said we ain't
I wasn't there when the group got arrested.
Me and
So
the girls, we left. Yes,
Yeah.
Lord, thank you, Jesus.
yeah, so getting back to the story. So
We got delivered.
we talked to the club owner. The club owner, we called our parents and everything, and fortunately our parents and the club owner got the money together, paid the hotel, and got us out of jail. And we all went home after that.
I think Jerome Steele told me that was the last straw for him.
That was
After he
that was
jail,
for
he was
everybody.
like, all right,
That was it.
we done. We're out of here.
Yeah, that was it. After the jail scene, the group went home, and then that's when the other half of the group got approached by some people out of Michigan, and then they went to Michigan and became Shotgun, the rhythm section.
Which was also a really great band.
Oh, really?
That made some wonderful
yeah.
music.
Exactly. Yeah.
Niambi, what's your craziest memory or story from tour?
Well, Lord. It is a cautionary tale. It is a young woman in Chicago with no money is not a good scene at all. And so, but I knew some vocalists there, and I had some microphones, and I was like, well, I'm gonna sell my microphones and just get the money and go home. I couldn't find this particular artist. Her name was Colette. She was a jazz artist. And I kept going back and forth to her house, and she wasn't there. So I kind of stayed around the neighborhood where she lived, and there was this little, kind of like a bar type situation. It was near the University of Chicago, so it wasn't like a, ratchet place. It was college students, normal, everyday neighborhood people come in, have a beer. There were peanut shells on the floor. It was just kind of like a rustic, kind of, relaxing place. So I kind of stayed there. I had like $2, so I bought a beer and I sipped it, like one sip every 15 minutes. So they wouldn't throw me out. And somehow or another, people came in and out, and I kept going to Colette's, and she was never there. At any rate, some people decided that, I was kind of like a target, and my whole situation about doing something once, well, I got in a car with a guy because he said, I'll take you, but just ride with me. And I was like, okay, I gotta sell these microphones, so I'm gonna just trust this guy. But I knew Chicago a little bit, and where he should have turned right, he turned left. And the whole atmosphere of his car changed, and I knew it was bad. It was bad, so it was bad. And I ended up running away down a 12-lane highway, trying to get away from this guy. I had lost my shoes. I had no shoes. I was running barefoot over broken glass. My feet never got cut. But I ended up staying on a 12-lane highway in Chicago. And I just remember somebody would pick me up and save me. And two guys who were very happy came by in an MG I will never forget. It was a 2-seater. And they picked me up. And I was sitting in the middle like I was a queen. I had been beaten. And I escaped. But I sat in the middle of that car. And I was waving like, I'm safe. I got away. I'm going home to my kids. This is it. I don't need no more. And that's my story.
We're glad that you're here.
Me too. Yes.
Princess, what's your craziest story from touring with 24 Karat Black?
Well, the touring with 24 Karat Black was not as exciting as being the wife of Bill Warren. After the group split, we went to Indianapolis, and we were refurbishing a 13-room home, which did not have a heating system in it, and we lived in 3 rooms on the 3rd floor. It was wonderful. So I endured that, being a nurturing mother, homemaker, and wife, and we got a break. He got an opportunity to do a music score for the movie called The Klansman with Richard Burton and Lola Falana, the Staple Singers.
And O.J. Simpson.
O.J. Simpson.
Is in the film.
Lee Marvin. And we got a break at that time, and then we went to California, and I was queen for a day, and a holiday, the Beverly Hills hotel. And I was queen for a day at that time, so it came in spurts. I was a queen for a day for about 6 months, and then the air came out of the balloon, you know, I guess it was just being self-employed. I guess that's what being self-employed was. You were rich this month and poor the next, you know. So he did the movie score, The Klansman. But Dale had been such a genius from the time before I had met him, and I met him when he became the manager for the 24 Karat Black group, and we just put hands and feet to his concept album, his baby that he had, that he was birthing this concept album, The Ghetto's Misfortune, well, by the 24 Karat Black. So, like Niambi said, you know, he just saw talent in a bunch of young people, and he was there to pull it out of you. You know, we appreciated him for that, just seeing the talent that we had, and he had so, he just thought so much of us that he could pull it out of us, that we were young, ambitious musicians, you know, that had a lot of talent. And Dale was the music writer and producer from Motown Records. He just did the strings on the Hot Butter Soul, Isaac Hayes. We were with somebody, you know what I mean? He was somebody, and we were just so elated to have Dale to, you know, to come and take a liking to us and our talents. And now, 49 years later, me personally, I have 2 sons by Dale. And when he passed away, he married a woman 3 months, I think, before he had died. And so she was able to administer his estate. And she's not talking to anyone. Dale and I were divorced, but he was a womanizer, and the reason that I divorced him because he was having an affair with his music copyist, Miss Vicky Gray. I love her. Miss Vicky Gray, his music copyist. They had an affair. They have a beautiful daughter. Her name is Tori. I love her. I love her. I love you very much. But that was the last straw with me and Dale Warren. After Vicky Gray, his music copyist. Yes, so he had an affair with her, along with some other women. But anyway, I survived it. I have 2 heirs to his estate. It took 7 years for me to get in contact with the lawyer at BMI to have him to stop the train and add his 2 heirs to his estate. And his wife, nobody knows where she's at. She's not talking to anybody. And I think he had 5 other kids in the estate, you know. So, and I wasn't able to get any money. But my 2 boys, I do have 2 boys who are heirs to his estate. And we just thanking God for the sampling that's going on, and maybe we can get some reparations. What's it called? Maybe I can, because they get the royalty. They get a royalty check every 3 months, but I don't get one. So we just thank God for Jesus. That I survived it. You know, boy, I can write a book just about the personal, you know, experience that I had with Dale Warren. But
To another book.
There's a lot of stuff that didn't make it into this.
Yes, a lot of stuff that didn't make it.
There's a whole other book waiting.
So I'm here for a deal. If anybody wants,
There's so much stuff we can't even get it in the
I'm
book.
here for a deal. If anybody want a deal,
Oh my God.
you want a package, you want an agreement or anything.
Now, Miss Princess and Miss Naomi, excuse me. You know, we from Memphis. We got them accents now. You know, the front of my mouth and the back of my mouth don't always agree. Y'all spoke a bit about the subject matter on Ghetto Misfortune's Wealth. Miss Niambi, you mentioned, the songs about food stamps and Mother's Day. And Miss Princess, you hollered out earlier that y'all didn't even understand some of this subject matter at the age that you were, late teens and early 20s, mid 20s. I mean, from all three, because you sort of speak to what that was like, that sort of mystifying element of the actual subject matter on the record, and also the new material that y'all are working on that eventually Numero put out. Here, I have a hand up.
Well, at that time, we were young kids. We were just young kids that were growing up, and we were a local band. And, we were just playing music, and when Dale came in and the concept album, he just brought it to the forefront of what we were already living, but we, being musicians, we weren't paying any attention to that. We just wanted to play music. So it didn't matter to us that we were staying at home with our parents, we were young kids. We just wanted to play. And Dale came in and gave us this concept, and the concept, it hit home as we learned the music and started playing the music. We realized that what we were singing about and performing was the life that we were living, because we were young black kids from, well, everybody didn't live in the projects, but our parents did what they could, and we were just young kids playing music, and Dale brought this concept, but the concept was real. It was a reality. We were practicing in the basement of Billy Talbert, Sonny Talbert, the mother who was managing the group at the time. We were practicing in her basement. We would go on the road as the D'Italians in 24 Karat Black. We were in a Volkswagen van. That's what the equipment rode in, and we would be in a station wagon or whoever had a car, and that's that. We were living what we were singing about, but we did not realize we didn't realize the reality of what we were performing and singing.
I can relate to God Saves the World. I don't know if anyone is familiar with that song, but it's timely now. God saves the world from hunger for power, from self-destruction's hour, from nuclear holocaust. No one wins when all is lost. God saves the world. And that song is so timely right now.
It really is.
But when we recorded it, it was before its time, But now, and Mother's Day is coming. Food stamps on the way. Brothers layers are humming. It's time to make his play. We can relate to that. We can relate to that.
All of that, yeah.
Food stamps is coming.
Yeah, and
Brothers layers humming.
and brown bagging.
He's waiting on you to get the food
Make that
stamps,
check.
and that's when they're gonna show up,
And brown bagging, from what I remember, that song was basically based off, Friday night comes around and, you get paid, you get your check, and you go down to the liquor store and you get a brown bag. That's what that song was really about. And they'll conveyed it like that to us, The guy he's been working all week, Friday night comes and gets his check, he goes down to the liquor store, he got a brown bag with his liquor. And so all the songs had meaning, and a lot of the songs, like she just said, are what's going on right now with Russia, Ukraine, all of that. I mean, all these songs that we did back then are really what's going on right now. That's the reality.
And when I came into like the second regeneration of 24 Karat Black, I think even though I know my vocal skills were not up to her, because who is, but at any rate, I had a theatrical background. And the one thing about these songs, they paint a picture, and you can feel and see what is going on in the lyrics. And the lyrics became like a script for me. And there were times when I had dance in my background also. So there were times when I just danced to the music. It was a solo expression of what was going on in the music. And Dale was very, he had a very, well, no, it's like, he was so precise, even like, he could tell if you were off like a half a note, and he would stop. It was so embarrassing. But he could, so his preciseness about the music was just as precise with the words.
Right.
The words, every word meant something. Every word was purposely there to elucidate some type of reaction that was inside. It was not about anything but how you, it was a lot of feeling in those words. And I was able to create and express through dance and through movement some of the things that were going on the stage through the music. Because when we recorded, he always set it up as a director, and that's how we communicated. And he was a director, and he would tell you, you're in a room, you and your boyfriend are talking. The lights are down low, and you want your boyfriend to know that you love him very much. And the lights are down low. If you love me, let me know. And so I said, I could do that.
Once at least once.
I can do that, Mr. Warren. He said, but can you do it for 3 minutes? I can't remember the exact timing of the song, but I oohed and ahed. And when my son finally heard the record, he was like, Mom, you sound like a porn star. Well, that's what Mr. Warren said he wanted, so that's what I did. And, you know, because he was grooming me to be the next sex symbol singer like Sylvia Robinson. And that's what he groomed me into feeling that way. And he let me know, you don't have to sing like Princess. You can sing like you. You can sing from what you know and how you feel it. And he made me very comfortable. And that's how he did it.
Niambi, you're talking about a song that was recorded, it was intended for 24 Karat Black's second album, which was never actually completed. And that song was never released until 2009 when New World released some of those demos. Were you devastated that music never saw the light of day, that the album was never finished? What was that like when you started working on the album and it just never actually was completed?
Well, I think that's why I kept my bags packed for 2 years, because I thought maybe, well, somebody's got to hear it. I recorded it. And it was very hard to tell, like, my friends, well, you've been gone for 2 years, what did you do? And it's hard to say, well, I rode on the back of a U-Haul truck. And then we sang, and then we got out, and we went back on the truck, and we went somewhere else. I mean, those are just not the stories you want to tell people. You want to tell them about how successful you were. And I didn't have those stories, so I didn't talk about 24 Karat Black. They were all in my head. And I never talked about it because how could I explain what I went through and I still had nothing to show for it, but everything is inside me. So I felt all kinds of emotions, but I think the best emotion I felt was when I found my own record on YouTube, which YouTube wasn't even invented when I sang the record. And there are people on there going, oh, this is so sexy. I'm gonna play it for my husband when he come home from work. Ooh, this is the way I'm gonna act. But I recorded that in 1973. And I'm just amazed. I don't know how to, encapsulize like 40 years for this event. Maybe we'll have another one that I can talk about the first 20 that I waited and the next 20 that I waited. But I just kept going because I came from theater, and theater is always about rejection. So I kind of put it in that whole category of I just auditioned for 3 years and nobody cares, so I'm gonna go to the next project. And that's what I did. I just continued to go into theater, and I moved to New York. I sang with Jack McDuff. I got a chance to be in Heavy D's video. I worked at the Apollo. I met LL Cool J when he sang my radio. You know, I met Phyllis Hyman before she, I worked at the Apollo, and I had, those are other experiences post 24 Karat Black that helped me dull the pain of not having the type of success I thought I should have had.
For each of you, you mentioned this YouTube moment, and there's, I think, one of my favorite moments in your book where DJ High Tech, who is probably Cincinnati's foremost hip hop kind of pioneer and producer, sort of realized his own personal connection to the band after already sort of growing up knowing that this was a record that hip hop producers loved and needed. What do you remember? What exactly his connection was?
Yeah. So DJ High Tech is a well-known rap producer. I think he's probably best known for working with Talib Kweli, and he originally was going to sample a 24 Karat Black song on the Black Star album that Talib Kweli and Mos Def did together, but for some reason the sample didn't make it onto the album, or the track was changed at the last minute. But he was a huge fan of 24 Karat Black's record. He kind of grew up listening to that music, and it wasn't until later in life that he was playing the record in his studio, and his dad was like hanging out at the studio with him. And his dad was like, can I look at that record? And his dad started looking at the names, the credits on the back cover of the record, and his dad was like, I know these people. I was in a band with them. Like I was in that group. So High Tech discovered that his father and his uncle were both early members of the Ditalians.
Oh,
They were
both members of the Ditalians, and their names are in the book. Let me find their names.
While you do that, my question is, considering that moment, consider the YouTube moment for each of you. What was the moment that you realized that something new was happening with this music? Was it a grandchild bumping some Kanye, or any moment that you realize, okay, there's a new wave of ears hearing this in a way that isn't connected exactly to the original source material?
So High Tech's father and uncle, Willie and Larry Cottrell, were founding members of the Ditalians. Yeah.
He just got nominated for the.
He just got nominated for the Black Music Walk of Fame that we're having in Cincinnati, Ohio, down on the banks. High Tech was one of the nominees in the Black Music Walk of Fame this year for 2022. And I was a member of a gospel group called the Dr. Charles Fold and the Charles Fold Singers. They were Grammy Award winner, gospel award winners, and we were nominated also at the Black Music Walk of Fame that will be in Cincinnati down on the banks.
Call them back, Ms. President. You see, we in the South, that make them your cousin. That's all it takes is for that to be your cousin. Call your people back. Tell them that you my cousin.
He's been sampling, Dre has been sampling our music, 24 Karat Black.
Yeah.
And I think High Tech is, working with Dre.
Right.
And they sampled our music.
So tell your daddy and uncle, you my cousin. That's all it takes. That's all it takes.
I would say listen to Jared on that.
So what was the moment that you realized that there was a new wave of 24 karat black awareness?
When Princess called me and told me Jay-Z was sampling the songs. That's when I was like, wow, let me start looking and researching. But she was the one that called me one afternoon, and we were talking, and she said, well, Jay-Z is sampling the music. And I was like, no, I didn't know that. Yeah. So then that woke me up and said, wow, there's a whole new thing going on. So I started listening, Kendrick Lamar, so on and so on. And then when Zach put the book out, there were more people in there that I learned about, and that gave me an awakening about the music and what we had done.
Let's not breeze past Kendrick Lamar won a Pulitzer Prize having sampled your record.
Absolutely.
We should sue all of them.
I want to talk to them.
You can break that prize.
I want to talk to them.
Well, I heard of the movie, I think it was called Iron Fist.
Man with an iron fist.
Yeah,
Yes.
Man with an iron
RZA.
fist. RZA, yeah.
And then when I watched the movie, I heard that, a 24 karat black song was in there. Well, I didn't know he did the whole song of When I Was Born. Yeah, he did all of Poverty's Paradise. Because he had to tell the story. Once again, this is, dramatic license. He had to tell the story of why he was a black ninja. And he used 24 karat black song to do it. Ever since my birth,
I've had no one to care.
from my very first day on
Very
earth.
first day on earth.
Yes.
I've existed on welfare.
And so
Shameful
this is,
living been my way.
I didn't know welfare.
Shameful living been my way.
I didn't know they had welfare with ninjas. So that was like, I feel you, brother, but I don't think ninjas had welfare. But I appreciate it. You singing a song that I promoted for 2 years. And it was on a movie. I was like, well, oh my God. So that was kind of my introduction to there's something going on here. And so then I got really interested in the internet, and I learned how to Google stuff, and I found a whole lot of people that had sampled that album. Discogs. Oh, there's also a site called Who Sampled. You go on there and find out exactly who done sampled what. It's on there. Every one. Millions of them.
So one of the things that really struck me when I was working on the book, your music has been a sampling phenomenon in hip hop going back more than 30 years. Your music has been sampled by some of the most influential and prominent and beloved producers and rappers within hip hop. I think Eric B. and Rakim sampled 24 Karat Black all the way back in the early 90s. Digable Planets sampled your music in 93. Nas and Dr. Dre sampled your music in 96. So that's going back 25, 30 years. And some of you told me that you didn't know that your music was being sampled by rap producers until the past 10 years or so, until quite recently.
Well, I was busy raising kids, and even though they were playing Rakim, I wasn't tracking Rakim like that. And it was a beat, my sons was dancing, and we lived in New York. We lived on the Upper East Side in East Harlem. East Harlem is mostly Puerto Rican. And it was so Puerto Rican that when my mother came to visit, everybody knew where my apartment was because we weren't Puerto Rican. They said, oh, she live up there. You want me to take her back? I swear to God, my mother came to visit and didn't tell me. And she got out of a taxi and everybody knew where they live up there, yeah. She was in my house cooking. She got the landlord to open the door. This was, look. My mother was in my house cooking, and when I got home, I was like, that smells like my mama food. Why am I smelling my mama food? Because your mama is in your house. But, you know, so we lived in East Harlem, and I didn't know, you know, I was trying to keep them off of crack. This is the 80s. So I was like, you know, I wanted them to just be kids, and it was getting to be like a little hard to have kids in New York City anymore. But we still stayed, you know, my kids graduated high school and everything. But, you know, I didn't know, I didn't have time. I was trying to raise kids, I was trying to be busy, I was trying to, you know, I was still getting food stamps. So it's not like my life changed at all. I didn't have time to be a music critic.
Was it a shock to find out that all of these rappers had sampled your music?
Well, they should be shocked.
Yeah, it was big time, a big shock that we were not receiving any kind of residuals or anything for the work that we've done years and years ago. But as I said earlier, you know, when we were just young kids, you know, just playing music, that's all we wanted to do. We didn't know anything about management, we didn't know about royalties, we didn't know, all we knew is we wanted to play and we could play. And Dale came in and he pulled more out of us that we didn't even know we had in us. Because like I said, we were just one of the most popular bands in Cincinnati, Ohio at that time. And we were playing proms and private parties and high schools and, you know, little stuff like that. So Dale came in, he was on a whole nother level, and the managers, which were the keyboard players, Billy Talbert and William Talbert, their mother was our manager. They knew nothing about royalties and records and contracts, so none of that was set up for us back then. None of it
And
was.
my brother introduced us to Dale Warren.
And he was trying, and her brother was trying to get the managers, the mother, to that point of contracts and all that, but they were so blind to it, they didn't understand it. And Sonny, it ended up, we had a management team. It was Dale Warren, her brother, and Miss Talbert. We called her Nanny. And Sonny, her brother, was trying to make Miss Talbert understand we need to have contracts, we need to do this, we need to meet the people at Stax Records, but Dale more or less kept all that. I'm not saying he hid it from us, but he kept all that. He was handling all of that. That was not our concern. Again, we were just young kids just playing music, so we had no idea to dive into that or attorneys or nothing, but her brother was trying to get to that, and it blew up before we even got to that. So that's why now this music is being sampled and we're not getting any money, and if we go after it, they'll look at us like, y'all crazy, you know, because there's no documentation anywhere that entitles us to that.
Well, you know, I told y'all I would do anything once. You know, I still, you know, I just got through recording something called Time for Love. And the message that I want to know that people get is that sometimes a contract has to be in the heart. And I know people don't like that. But you have to be a real solid, honest person to just, I want to see all these guys in the room. I want to see Jay-Z sitting there. I want to see Nas. I want to see Pusha T, Kendrick Lamar, Digable. Oh yeah, I want to see him for real. I want to see all of them. I want to see him in a room, and I want them to look me in my 75-year-old, almost 75-year-old eyes, and I want them to tell me, you ain't gonna give no money to me. I just believe that somebody somewhere knows that they should have some kind of money. Because right now, Jerome Steele, who is no relation to me, my name is Steele with an E and his is Steels with an S. But he was the drummer on Digable Planet. That is what they made that record off of. is cool like that. That's Jerome Steele, the drummer from 24 Karat Black. I was looking at a football game, basketball game. That song Digable Planets came on during a commercial for some, the next thing was a beer commercial or something like that. But they played at least 30 seconds of that drum beat. And it breaks my heart because Tyrone is really sick. He's a sick individual. He's been hospitalized. There's times when he didn't know who he was. His wife had to bring him back to reality. He was in an accident where a drummer lost his arm. He only has one arm. And the work he did with 2 arms, people have used it all over the world. I want them to sit in front of me and tell Tyrone, you are not gonna pay him and he's sick as hell. I want you to tell me, I wanna look these people in the eye. Because see, people will hide. But when you get them in a room, let me tell you, that does something. And I just wish somebody would have a conference of all these people and bring us in a room. And I wanna talk to them. I ain't scared of them. I ain't scared of JC. I ain't scared of Beyonce. I want them to come in my face, in the face of these artists. We are in our 70s. They were kids, and I was the grown one.
I'm 68, I'm not 70 yet.
Well, I'm not 75 yet, but I'm gonna claim it. So, we're 7 years apart. I was 7 years older than most of the band. So when I came in, I felt very grown. And I just know that Dale Warren did not mean for us to be broke. He didn't mean for that. And I'm counting on his spirit to know that we still here.
Dream my sins, Scotty.
We still here. We are still here.
Scotty.
We are still here.
As I say, we won't have to go far to Jay-Z and Beyonce and Digable Planets and all them. Right here in Memphis, Yo Gotti and 3 6 Mafia have sampled your records. Our 2 biggest hip hop acts. So some of us can call our folk and get them in the room too.
There you go.
Yo Gotti pretty recently has sampled your record. And then we talk about Nas, he sampled you twice. So.
Busta Rhymes.
All of them, honey. Get them all.
Busta Rhymes sampled the music quite recently. So your music is still being sampled today on new records, new releases.
Busta Rhymes artist Rock Marciano's new single samples their record. It came out like 2 weeks ago.
Is The Alchemist?
Yeah.
The Alchemist produced that? Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because in the book I tried to include a pretty thorough inventory of all the different rappers who've sampled 24 Karat Black, but it just occurred, when the book was published, it occurred to me that like, this book is going to be out of date in a year because more rappers are going to sample the music. It just keeps coming.
And the the unreleased materials, Numero's put out unreleased materials, that's been sampled. Now, Pusha T didn't sample Ghetto's Misfortune, he sampled some of the material that's just been released.
So, what is it about 24 Karat Black's music that draws so many producers and rappers to incorporate it into their own music? What do you think makes this music so ripe for sampling?
It's solid. It's solid.
And the beats.
It's solid.
But it's more than solid.
It can't be. It's not a machine.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't care what machine you get, you cannot beat live people playing music. And that's why Tyrone's beat, he did it with 2 arms, his hands. He didn't push no button.
Right.
That's why they can sample it, because it is live. There's nothing like a live beat, a live person, a live voice. Her voice can never be digitized. That's a real woman right there with a real voice. That's why it's still solid. And I don't know if I'm an expert, but that's my opinion.
Well, a lot of it is the feel, like she's saying. It's not a machine, and of you know you've got favorite songs from the Barcades, from Floyd Taylor, from Johnny Taylor, from back in the day. And the groups now are realizing that, and that's why you hear so many remakes. You know, the thing in the music business, you can do an old Aretha Franklin song now with a twist and it'll be a hit. Because in your mind, you've heard Respect over and over and over and over. So if a group now today does Respect again and puts the little hip hop twist on it, it's already sold in your mind. You're gonna buy that song because you grew up on it, you heard it, and a lot of the young musicians, they realize that. A group can do a remake and it'll be a hit before they would do one of their own originals. You know, and that's just going on across the country, in the world. That's what's going on. And our music, not just 24 Karat Black music is big in Japan and Hong Kong and Singapore. Is huge over there. You know, you can take a group from here and go there and stay there for 2-3 years and come back here and be a star, be a hit. You can take a group from over there and bring them over here, and they won't, they won't be anything. But then when they go back home, they'll be a big hit. So it's all like she's saying. It's not a machine. It's the feel. You know, the feel is there. It's embedded in you. There are songs. If we could pass the mic to everybody in here, and all y'all could pick a favorite song that has stuck with you from way back when you were in high school. And if you hear that song again today, remade by Beyonce, well, Beyonce just did it with the Isley Brothers. She did. Right, but it's number one. That's true. I agree. But see, that song, the Isley song, is embedded. Y'all grew up on that. So now you hear it again, and of course you'll go buy it, and you're not really okay. You're not really listening to Beyonce, but you hear Ronnie Isley, and it takes you back to when. Well, it's machines. It's machines. It's machines. It's all machines. Yeah, it's all machines. She did it with Frankie Beverly, but Before I Let Go. And Cameo. She took some of Cameo's song and she took some of Frankie's song and she made her song. But it boosted those groups. It boosted Frankie. It boosted Cameo. It's boosting the Isleys. Right now, they're number one on the charts across the country, where Ronnie hasn't had a number one song since Shout. Okay, so, but I'm just saying. But that's the reality of it.
I think we have some time to open it up for Q&A. Is that right? Q&A? All right, so if you have any questions, what's up, come on.
Thank you so much. I wanted to know about some of your musical influences. Who were you listening to then? Who are you listening to now? Who are the artists that give you that feeling?
It was Aretha Franklin for me, Layla Hathaway, and the Staple Singers. I did a lot of sampling for the Staple Singers when I was associated with Dale. I used to do a lot of sampling for the Staple Singers and Layla Hathaway. I recorded a song, I'm Coming Back. It was on the album that Numeral Records released, and that was the last record that I recorded with Dale also. And CeCe Winans on the gospel tip. CeCe Winans. I'm more or less in the gospel genre now. I'm more in the gospel now than I am in R&B. But when I was coming up, yes, my idol was Gladys Knight and Aretha Franklin. Yes. And the times we had a feel of Diana Ross and the Supremes. We had Diana Ross and the Supremes. We had Aretha Franklin. We had that kind of a show set up. Yeah.
Brother Ron?
Yeah. All in the mic? Okay.
We get out of the mic.
All right. I thought I never heard of y'all. I've been listening to y'all all my life. I didn't know it. I grew up on your music. I had no idea. So many questions, but I just got to get one question off. It's two questions. why are they doing up in Ohio to make this type of music come out of that place? Like, what are y'all doing up there? And it's a really I just go and like, number two, there's a thing going on where they're rewriting history once again. Like you talk about how you was there, Sugar Hill Rapids, everything, the birth of hip hop. They're now claiming that Jamaicans and Puerto Ricans made hip hop what it is today. Not being contributors, but creators. And you know, with the reggae thing, there was a black dude from Texas who just passed, Johnny Nash, who really put reggae on the map. Because a lot of people don't know that. Or like Bob Marley, a lot of people, they love Sam Cooke and all these other soul singers over here. So what y'all think about the spin now that they're saying that Jamaicans and Puerto Ricans actually helped create hip hop? When they've been eating off y'all for decades.
Right. Well, I think it was a mix between the classical and the jazz, and the R&B kind of mixed in there. And it was kind of a new era of sound, mixing that classical and the jazz and R&B together.
And also, like you're saying, they had their version of it, you know, they had their own version. And by them hearing and coming over here, they started hearing what we were doing and different things, so they mixed it. And you know how people want to claim stuff, so they just claim it and label it as that's theirs, and really it's not. You know, it's not at all. You know, a lot of it comes from Africa. You know, a lot of it comes there, and I think that's where the real creation came from. You know, back then when, like, you see the Tarzan movies and you see the black people, yeah, you know, that's where all that came from. You know? Yeah, so I hope that answered your question.
But where are the Isaac Hayeses and the Aretha Franklins? They made this, where did James Brown?
Where are
That's
they?
the problem. They like, if Jamaica did all this in Puerto Rico, where are the James Browns, their Sam Cooks, their Isaac Hayeses, their Al Greens, their Arethas and people like that? If they actually are the creators of this stuff.
Well,
contribute.
Well, again, they're not. You just answered your own question. They're not. You know, they're not the creators because they don't have a James Brown. They don't have an Isaac Hayes. They might have a imitation Jay-Z, you know, an imitation Kendrick Lamar, but they just don't have that. So they're just claiming something that's not theirs because it's so successful and they can make money. Yeah, that's my opinion.
And what's going on in Ohio, Jerome?
And what's going
on in Ohio? Cincinnati, and then you played in Digable.
Well,
What's going on there?
Bootsy's going on in Ohio.
The Ohio players.
That all came from.
Who made them?
We always.
They're wild, they're crazy, they're from Ohio.
The Ohio musicians really, that birth came from James Brown and Ohio players. All of that.
Being at King.
Yeah, all of that. Yeah, James Brown used to be at King. Diana Ross was at King. For a while, Diana Ross lived in Cincinnati, Ohio. And King Records was right around the corner from where we used to practice. We would go to King Records as kids, and they would, you know, if you remember the albums, we would pick up the albums that they discarded and we would throw them as flying saucers.
Right. And my mom lives in that same neighborhood.
Yeah, right
She's
around the corner.
99 years old,
Yeah.
in the same house that I grew up in, over there by the King's Records. They're trying to preserve it now.
Yeah. All of that came from James Brown. That's where it all originated. Yeah. Diana Ross, Ohio players, all of that originated right there out of Cincinnati, Ohio.
Any other questions out there? Got one right here.
One of my favorite songs from you guys is I Wanna Make Up. And I just wanna know, what was the inspiration behind this song? Because to me, that song was very great.
Dale wanted to make up with me.
Who was the man that was talking about
Dale
the
Warren.
Oh, that was him.
It was his baby. He created all of this.
Okay.
Yeah, and his feelings.
Yeah, but they call it, what they call it, infrared.
Infrared.
That ain't what he's saying.
Infrared.
Infrared is not what he's saying on I Wanna Make Up.
But the voice on that track is Tyrone.
That's Tyrone, the drummer, Tyrone Steele.
And that's my sister Patrice. She was a Patrice, that was the name of her act. In the 24 Karat Black, we had about 5 acts, and she was Miss Patrice. And she was my sister. And she's been to Japan, and she has her own entertainment company today. And she's a front row director, and vocal coach, and she's a radio announcer, and She's really in the mood. She's still in the mood.
So Tyrone Steele is the voice
Yes.
of the man on that song, and he kind of plays this like pimp kind of character,
Right.
and he's the guy who's kind of yelling at the end like I'm gone, and that was
That's the drummer.
and that vocal was sampled by Pusha T. The song was actually produced by Kanye West.
Right. But it's really funny because even when that song was being recorded, like I said, Mr. Warren came from a director's point of view, and he was like, when he was talking to Pat, you have left the main man and now you're sorry and you wanna come back. How would you sing that?
Yes.
How would you react to that? And to Tyrone, he was like, you're not taking her back. What would you say? And that was like, all of that was done impromptu, just off the cuff. What would you say if you were the pimp that's not gonna take her back? And that's what he said. Are you for real? And they said it was infrared, but he really said, are you for real?
It fooled me. The
Fooled the whole
track
world.
title fooled me. I thought they were saying infrared.
No.
Niambi corrected me, but she waited 2 years to correct me.
Well, see, I was there when it was recorded. I was a witness to the whole scene, so you can't tell me what I don't know, because I know everything. I told y'all I'd do everything once.
Dale was very detail oriented. And even with my singing, he would be in the booth and he would dictate every note that I sing.
Oh, yeah.
Even on Poverty's Paradise. Poverty's Paradise. And that's how I came up with that note. He directed everything that we did. It was his baby. We just put hands and feet and legs to this concept album of Dale Warren. That's exactly what we did.
All right, so last question, and I can't let you get out of Memphis, Tennessee without telling us about the time that you guys met Elvis Presley.
Oh, I can tell you that. Okay, Dale had brought the group here to Memphis to record at Stax Records. So we were in the studio and we were down the hall in one of the little small rooms rehearsing. And so Dale or somebody came in the room and said, hey, y'all want to meet Elvis Presley? And we were all little kids, we like flipped out. We was like, oh yeah. So they took us down the hall and we went in the studio, and Elvis, big as life, standing in the center of the room, and he had his whole entourage that you might see now in the video in the studio, and he stopped his session and he spoke to all of us. He shook our hands, and we were at awe because we was